welcome back to the Film Reel Cast. We're back in the dojo. It's Cobra Kai. It's episode 8, season 1, called Molting. This is one belter of an episode. You will see an excited 45-year-old. I know you don't believe my age. I know I look 21. Trust me, I'm not. You will see an excited 45-year-old talking about montages, talking about 80s music, talking about nostalgia. Just to warn you, this episode is very exciting. Okay, so this one starts in a scrapyard, and you're wondering what's going on. You've got Johnny there, you've got all of his students, and he says to them, it's a great intro, he says to them, I've been nice, I've been too nice. Now you're going to see my horrible side if we're going to win this tournament. Remember, they're in the Hill Valley. Back to the Future, I'm always going back to the Future. We're in the All Valley Karate Tournament on the 19th of May. And to get ready, to get in the right frame of mind, the only way we can do this is by smashing up bits of car. They loved it. It looks like they had really good fun smashing these cars up. They're smashing the windows, smashing the doors. They're dropping bricks through the windows. Baseball bats, everything. It looks like they had such a good time, and who wouldn't enjoy smashing cars up? But then Johnny takes it up a gear. He decides the best way to be focused, to stay sharp, is to have to run away from blood-hungry guard dogs. And he does that. And you see them all climbing up walls, over fences, on top of cars, in the back of trucks. It's a really, really good fun intro. And all meanwhile, Johnny's there drinking a beer, just lapping it up and loving it. It's really good fun. It gets you straight in. It's great fun. And again, an 80s soundtrack. It's the soundtrack they use, let me think about it, it's Twisted Sister. And it's called We're Not Gonna Take It. And again, that's a soundtrack, if I'm not wrong, from 1984. So they've got that 80s roots there. They've got that montage, that 80s vibe, which gets you sucked in, and it's such a good song. So with Daniel, you've got the family at home, and you've got a surprise guest, someone again from the original. You've got Lucille, which played by, I'm not trying to remember, I am looking, by Randy Heller. She plays Daniel's mum in the original 84. And to be fair, she hasn't changed a bit. I should imagine she was as surprised as anyone when she got a call up to say they're doing a Karate Kid, they're doing Cobra Kai, and we want you back. I'm sure her rent, her mortgage, and all the rest of her bills appreciated the fact that in 84 she was in something successful. I'm sure she's been in other things. Maybe she hasn't. But she looks good, I have to say. 34 years later, she looks good, and she sounds exactly the same. But you see that around having a barbecue, that Daniel brings up the Cobra Kai. And that Cobra Kai are back, and they're in the tournament. And again, she repeats that they stood for everything bad, the disrespect. They bullied their son. They speak about the bullying where he was, Daniel was pushed down that mountain or the hill when he was on his bike, which injured him so badly. And that they're just horrible people and they shouldn't represent anything. But you've got difficulties of when they said that everyone in Cobra Kai is bad. And remember, Samantha and Miguel have just got together. But Miguel's not bad, is he? So how can everyone be bad in Cobra Kai if Miguel isn't bad? You've got that real conundrum, the real crossroads of what's Samantha going to do? Who's she going to believe? She obviously really likes Miguel, but there's those pressures of what happened previously, that can she now have a relationship with Miguel? And that's proven of when she speaks to him, they FaceTime each other. And Daniel even says prior to the phone call, I don't want you having anything to do with any of the students. Even though they're some friends. Remember, Aisha's there. She was a friend of the family. But you can't have anything to do with them. And he doesn't know anything about Miguel yet. And she even hides and pretends she's not speaking to Miguel, which hurts his feelings. Because remember, he really loves her. And she blanks him completely and says, I'm just talking to a study student, a friend. And it's no one. She even uses that word, it's no one important. And that hurts Miguel. So, I mean, this all is building up to what I think is going to happen. To when the shit gets real, when the shit hits the fan and people start kicking shit out of each other, whether it's before the tournament, whether it's at the tournament. But they're just fueling that fire, which I love. So, okay, you've got the first bit of foreshadow. Louis is there. Remember, Louis is the idiot. He's the cousin who works at the garage, who doesn't do anything right. And there's a good reason why he does nothing right. It's because he's an idiot. He tells Daniel, again, foreshadow warning, that he's met some bikers in Vegas. He's told them about the garage. And when I mean bikers, I mean Hell's Angels. And that they can go to the garage and they can get their bikes fixed. They'll have some kind of contract going on. And Daniel is furious and Amanda's furious because this isn't what the garage is about. For decent people, for families to turn up, not for Hell's Angels to turn up. And Louis makes comment, foreshadow again, that what Johnny did was wrong. And he knows where Johnny lives because he got the car fixed and that he can sort it out. And he's told to leave it. You've done enough wrong already with the bikers. So just leave it. But remember, foreshadow, Louis can sort things out. So equally, at the same time that Daniel and Lucille putting down Cobra Kai and everyone associated, Johnny finds out that Miguel is now dating Samantha. Remember, he's seen her in the back of the car. In the first episode, when things were really, really bad, it was Moon and Yasmin and Samantha who smashed into his car and drove away. So he's disgusted. And then, what I love, and it ties in brilliantly well, and it's done executedly so well, that he goes back to 1982, 2 years before the famous karate All Valley tournament took place. He says that he met Ali, and you see a really nice flashback of Elizabeth Shue, and that he kind of pursued her and they were in love and they started dating for a couple of years. And things were going really well and they exchanged Valentine's gifts and they were close. And then they had an argument. And it was, he even admits it was his own stupid fault why they argued. But they were still tight, they were close. And then Daniel came onto the scene. And the way it's put, there's been lots of forums and discussions on YouTube and on the internet that Daniel was the protagonist. He was the bully in the Karate Kid. And the way it's explained with Johnny, or by Johnny, is that they were going through a rough patch. But they weren't broken up. They were together. They were a couple. And they showed the beach scene where, yeah, Johnny's quite heavy-handed with Daniel, but he doesn't hit him. He just tells him to leave him alone, that she's my girlfriend. At the time, Elizabeth Shue is, Ali is. But Daniel sucker punches him. And you see that. So Johnny does what he does. He's karate. He's very good at karate. And he's a jock. So he takes Daniel out. And then he talks about at the Halloween party where he's on the toilet. He misses out the fact he's smoking a joint. But wink wink, that's what he kind of he goes to, that he is in the toilet. He was on his own. And then Daniel came unprovoked, poured water over the cubicle and got him soaking wet. Naturally he's going to react. Okay, it was like 4-on-1, which wasn't fair. But again, he says Mr. Miyagi went there and he kicked their asses. Again, that was unprovoked. So the way they tell the story is that they possibly could have worked out their relationship had Daniel not been there and she fell in love with Daniel and Daniel took Ali away from Johnny. And it's played out really well and it's explained really well, and it makes Daniel look like the bad person when that is just such a massive debate to have. You could look both sides of who's the bad person, but the way it's explained in this episode portrays Daniel as the bad person. I think it's done really well and it's really clever the way it ties in the flashbacks. It's so good. So that puts a seed in Miguel's mind that be wary of the LaRusso family, that all of the LaRussos can't be trusted. And again, that is foreshadow for what happens later on in the episode. And it gives it gives Miguel a bit of a dilemma that he's just been told that it's no one, it's nothing, that he's no one and nothing by Samantha when they're talking on FaceTime. And that possibly Johnny's right and that he can't trust that family. But because he's a nice guy, he looks for a way of sorting it out. So he asks Aisha. He goes to the cinema and Aisha and Hawk are there. And he says, what is the best way? What can I do? I've been told this about the family. And Aisha's known the family a long time. And she says Daniel's a nice guy. And to be honest, he is a nice guy. They're all nice guys, but they've all got their problems. So she says, go and speak to him. Just go around the house and have a chat to him. Face to face. Let him know you're a nice person. and that Cobra Kai has changed, and that you're seeing his daughter, and he'll probably let it happen. But he's got that seed of doubt in his mind, sowed there by Johnny, not intentionally, because Johnny's got good reason to believe that and to say that. But it really builds that tension, as in what's he going to do? And is it going to work out when he goes there? Because he's going to grab a pair of bollocks and he is going to go there and knock on the door. And will it be rewarding? Will it pay off? And we need to see later on if the payoff is there for Miguel. So Robbie goes to Daniel's house. And as you can see from the pictures, there's chemistry there. He bumps into Samantha. And as predicted, it isn't hard, I know. And it's not like we're watching some long journey which is very difficult to understand, where it's full of twists and people aren't who they're meant to be, and it's not difficult to follow this, but it's exciting. So Daniel takes Robbie into the woods, and the reason for this is so they can listen to panpipe music and train and have a montage, because you cannot get better at anything without a montage. We know that now. So they have a montage of various training. They're on a pier over a lake. They're on a bank by a lake. And it's just so picturesque. And they're doing synchronized kicks and punches as the sun is setting. It's absolutely amazing. And this is the way you train to become a karate expert. It's brilliant. And the panpipe music finishes it off. Yes, I am being sarcastic. It's very corny. And again, to make sure we're enjoying this, to make sure we're paying attention, that they reach back to 1984 again. Robbie is punching Daniel in the chest, and if you recall from the original 84 Karate Kid, that he was punching Daniel, Mr. Miyagi, in the chest. And he had that target on his mitt. The picture's there for you to see if you've forgotten. And they recall this actual scene. And again, not even doing that one scene, they go back. They even go to the outer space. They take the scene out of Empire Strikes Back. The scene, if you remember, where Luke goes to see Yoda. I think it might be in the Dagobah system. All you Star Wars fans will know. And he's meditating. He's upside down. And he's balancing and he's using the Force. And he gets disturbed and he falls over. This scene is recreated. Robbie's doing some like roundhouses on this log, kind of Dirty Dancing style. He's trying to learn his balance. And he masters that. And he goes to find Daniel. And Daniel is on a rock, one arm upside down. And the reason why he's doing this, it's a move that Mr. Miyagi taught him, which he nearly mastered 20 years ago. And apparently, if you've got both legs free and you've got the other arm free, it allows you to do some kind of amazing Kill Bill, Bruce Lee style deadly attack that will take your opponent out without even knowing. And this could be foreshadow, this could be bollocks, it could be both. But I can't wait for Robbie to do the one-handed deadly assault on someone, or Daniel do it on Johnny. Because when do you get the time in a fight to go on one arm, balance, and your opponent stands there watching, and then you go and take him out? So if this is foreshadow, I cannot wait to see the payoff. But that, as I say, it's quite a nice scene. It is nostalgia. All of these based on nostalgia. All of these are callbacks to the 84. And if you're a fan, you do get those little rewards of, I remember that, they did this, they did that. And this episode and this whole series so far feeds off that. But it doesn't mean it's bad. It just means it's very easy writing with a payoff as well. So, and you've got the panpipes as well. You cannot have any karate themes without the panpipes. So they go into the woods and he teaches him the karate, and Robbie comes away a lot stronger, a lot more confident, and the bond between Daniel and Robbie again is a lot closer. Robbie's filling that missing void without not having a dad with Daniel, and in a way Daniel's filling that void of not having a son who'll do karate. Because remember, Anthony just sits on his arse and plays computer games and does nothing, and is showing no interest. So he's got Robbie as someone who fills that space. And it'll be interesting to see where their relationship goes. If it carries on blossoming, or if it ends, if Robbie gets that alliance with his dad. And it becomes Robbie and Johnny show. And Miguel gets his nose put out of joint. Then he joins teams with Daniel. Could go so many different ways. It'd be really interesting to see which way it goes. So after a nice meal that Johnny has with Miguel, his mum and his grandma, Johnny kind of realises that he's a nice guy and he enjoys that family environment, and he's told this by Miguel and his mum. They talk about their past, and Johnny is in a much better place now. He's a lot happier than he was. And he says that just because I lived in a rich area, it doesn't mean behind closed doors that everything's happy. Remember, we've seen that with Sid. And they have a really nice chat, and there's that real bond between Miguel's mum and Johnny. And he seems like in a really good place, as I say, and he goes back to his own address after, sees that it's a shithole, and he tidies the whole thing up. And again, he's got Iron Eagle playing on the TV. Absolutely classic 80s film. And from there, he goes to see Sid. He goes back home. And he sees Sid, who's a horrible stepdad. And he gives Sid the money back that he gave him, first of all, when he went to buy him out of his family. He's got that satisfaction. He's been successful. Sid says, "Oh, you here for another handout?" He says, "No, here's your money. I don't need you in my life. I can make it on my own." And well done, Johnny. Because fair play, he couldn't have done it without Sid's money initially because he bought the dojo. So technically he did need his money. Because apart from that, he would have been just drinking beers and just been a bum. So Sid's money got him the dojo, but fair play, he's kept that money and he's given it back to him in the end. And he's free from the shackles of Sid, which is brilliant. So well done, Johnny. But as we know from TV to films, when there's a good moment, you need that yin-yang. You need that bad moment. You need that drama to pay off, to ground everyone, to bring them back to earth. And it's about to happen. So Miguel finally gets the courage to grow a pair. And he goes around, a pair of balls and he goes around Daniel's house. And he's standing on the doorstep, and bless him, he's going through the conversation out loud of what he's going to say. And then he hears giggling. And it's Samantha who's laughing. And it sounds like the whole family. And bless him, he goes into the back garden, and they don't see him, but he sees all of them, including Robbie, who's been invited to stay for dinner, sitting at the backroom table in the garden, and they're all laughing. And Samantha's lapping Robbie's jokes up, and she's laughing with him, and they're staring at each other. And Miguel gets that look in his eye like he could kick someone's ass, and I hope he does. But Robbie isn't doing anything wrong. Robbie's been invited. I don't even know, and I don't think, let me know if I'm wrong, that at this point in time, Robbie knows that him and Miguel and Samantha are dating. But that's down to Samantha. She's obviously fully aware, and she should be the one to say no if anything goes further. So whilst writing a letter to Robbie, remember, Johnny's old school. He's writing a letter. He's not sending an email. He's not sending a text. He's not WhatsApping him or anything like that. He's writing a letter. Because Johnny's about old school 80s. He hears some disturbance outside. He goes outside. And remember the foreshadow from earlier? Louis isn't there. Louis is now at Johnny's house with two bikers smashing the shit out of his car. His beloved red Pontiac car. That is a shithole anyway, but it's Johnny's and it's his and he owns it, and they're smashing the shit out of it. And he says, Louis makes a mistake of saying, "This is from Daniel. This is for Daniel." Again, that's going to flare up any anger that's deep down inside of Johnny. And he kicks all their asses, and it's brilliant. The two Hells Angels, they've got baseball bats, they've got crowbars, and he kicks both their asses, and he grabs Louis, and he makes him say the address of where Daniel lives. And you can see he's raging, and even one of the Hells Angels sets fire to his car. So it ends with him going to Daniel's house. Episode 9 is gonna kick ass. It's got to kick ass. It's got to kick off. I want to see Johnny go round. He takes one of the bikes belonging to the Hells Angels. I want to see Johnny turn up outside Daniel's house with Miguel still furious about what Robbie's done, and have a massive fight in their back garden. That would just be awesome. Whether it's going to play out like that, I honestly don't know. Whether Louis is going to give Daniel the heads up that Johnny's away over there, I honestly don't know how it's going to play out. But you've got, obviously, the rivalry ongoing, which is getting really, really exciting. And it's Robbie, Miguel, Daniel, Johnny. I want to see Samantha. What's Samantha going to do in the next episode? Is she going to... If Miguel turns up. It's that tropey way that Miguel turns up and starts a fight, and she embarrasses him, or he embarrasses her. Then that trope of "I told you Cobra Kai were bad," then she'll end it with Miguel, and she'll go to Robbie. So Miguel, all he'll be doing is pushing Samantha into Robbie's arms, because that's what happens in these films. Any film, that the good guy always makes that mistake and pushes her away, and then he's got to get her back, and she realises she's made that mistake. This could trope out exactly the same as that. But it's a really good episode, another exciting episode. And again, as I've said, the last few episodes, it's like a filler. It's fueling to what's going to happen. And at some point, it's got to go wild. It's got to kick off. I really want to see Johnny and Daniel have that showdown. Even if it stopped, I want to see him go for it. Because Daniel is back on it. He's bang training again. So I want to see what happens. Johnny's in it. Danny's in it. And I want to see him kick off. I really, really do. It's really exciting. But that was Cobra Kai. And I'm very excited in Cobra Kai. And it made me very excited talking about it. You probably guessed that. Cobra Kai episode 8 called Molting. I'm not too sure why it's called Molting. Or whether someone's molting off their own skin into someone new. I really, really don't know. Possibly Johnny's gone on that journey. Or whether it just means something else. I've got it completely wrong. Okay, so we've got the podcast as well. Myself and James. We are reviewing The Meg. We'll be talking about Jason Statham. What is his accent? Is it English? Is it American? Is it Australian? Is it all of them? Because he can't do an accent in any film he's in, apart from his natural one. We'll be talking about, is this a poor man's Jaws? Or is it a poor man's Deep Blue Sea? But we'll be discussing The Meg and all of the failings with it. It's a really good, fun, corny film. So join us with that. Subscribe to the Film Reel Cast. The icon's on the system. Go to iTunes, go to Android, any good podcast format, we are on there. And again, as it says at the bottom of the screen, subscribe. You won't miss a single episode. Okay? Leave comments, leave feedbacks. I'm on Twitter at the Film Reel Cast. Okay? So I really enjoy doing this. I really enjoy talking to people. So I hope you're enjoying these episodes. As I say, they're work in progress. So any feedback is always welcome. But I'm Stuart. This is the Film Reel Cast, and I will see you the next episode.